Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Weekend Frivolity, the Broiler Chicken Show. Hey, we're live on YouTube too. So cool. Now, actually, when I wake up in the mornings on Sundays, I get greeted in the lounge. I thought this was hilarious. Hey, it's Sunday, everybody. Ready? Bark, 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 bark. Somebody went and recorded that soundbite, which is great. Now, 30 years from now, I'm going to be hearing that played back. A silly chicken show. All right. Anyway, thank you for that post. I thought that was adorable. When I saw that, when I looked in the lounge, I was like, oh, geez, these people are chomping in the bit. We better get going here. So anyway, good morning, everybody. Late August. Interesting how not many people here, and this often happens the end of the summer. Kind of get lulled into a nice, sort of sleepy state. Also, too, gee whiz, the powers that be have got the market nice and uppy. Everything's very perky. What I've been sort of suggesting to the site is there's two reasons why asset prices go down. Usually, it's either and if you're talking about commodities. It's a perception of the cost of production and sort of the premium in the current marketplace to those costs of production, and what's sort of the trend in demand and supply. And we can apply a lot of that logic to things like cryptocurrencies, so POW kind of ideas. But if we're talking about equities, then we're really talking about earnings, and in essence, equities are earnings engines. And then I might argue that what would affect both of those, regardless, is the cost of money. And in essence, that's all about what we call interest rates. If you want to borrow money to do a venture, what's it going to cost you? And, of course, a lot of major capital projects, they require massive amounts of capital injection. It's not like you can pull $100 million or $1 billion out of your back pocket. So quite often the debt market is used to finance those kind of projects. So think of earnings and... actually interesting, one might argue the whole half of the reason why crypto has enjoyed a nice little bump up here this summer is this idea of DeFi, unlocking the lending ability against Bitcoins to go and buy other assets and collecting interest on those swap arrangements. So, in a weird sort of way, we're almost seeing that almost collateralization of things like Bitcoins to finance venture capital ideas. So we're seeing a lot of altcoins really catching one hell of a bid here, I think, as sort of capital within the space. Not necessarily new capital coming outside the space, but people who've already bought their Bitcoins, already bought their Ethereums, and they're just sitting there going, well, now what the hell do I do with them? Unfortunately, I did fascinating. And I'm getting off on a tangent here, guys. Sorry. But I did watch one of our site OGs, Colin, has and quite often this happens to a lot of our veterans. We have some veterans who've gone off and started venture capital firms and trading like big equity and fixed income and derivative markets all over the world. This particular gentleman, he went off to another crypto exchange, Hero. I have the name. Total respect, and I'm terrible because I'm getting it to be an old man. So short-term memory, all that kind of crap, right? But so I've actually written the name down right in front of me so I don't forget it. But he does some public offering videos, and he's working with another gentleman, and listening to them talk a little bit about the growing problem within the international sort of debt settlement system, and how there could be a massive crunch for U.S. dollars here shortly by the international community. And make no mistake about it. I mean, whether you like Warren Buffett or not, well, it's here nor there. But his, time-tested old man kind of indicators, of course, me being an old man, I sort of fall into that camp too. There's lots of warning that the international markets have maybe gotten a little bit ahead of themselves. And what I found when I was growing up in the 1970s and early 80s was, of course, Canada is sort of an international country. It suffered very badly in the recession that followed that particular cycle apex. And oh, by the way, there was a big fat Jupiter-Saturn cross in the end of 1979, beginning of 1980, that basically corresponded exactly with that gold price peak and the panic dump of U.S. dollars. So it doesn't surprise me that we got another big fat Jupiter-Saturn cross, and sort of the big ugly event I'm actually worried about here is this coming November. What a coincidence. There's a big political event around that as well. So I see, tons and tons and tons of sort of historical comparison, historical similarities. But Mr. Buffett's kind of saying things like, international markets could suffer. And like I said, I remember I went through that in 1980. Interestingly enough, because, I'm here in Canada, so most of the North American news story you're going to see is it's not really the recession that we're going to go through here in North America, i.e. dominated by the U.S. media, is going to be relatively tame, believe it or not. But Jesus, you can see there's just trouble everywhere. It's brewing. Like, you can just see it bubbling to the surface. So be forewarned. I mean, the interesting thing in like 2000, early 2000s, after the dot-com blow up, and then, of course, terrorism itself, what a convenient target, right? Countries themselves, they don't necessarily squabble amongst themselves. We're all focused on killing the terrorist and Osama bin Laden and all that. What a convenient scapegoat, right? So everybody's attention's focused there and not on killing each other and country after country. I'm seeing a lot of sort of country after country kind of stuff now. Getting a little scary. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. And then, of course, all the social unrest and all that with COVID sure makes for a challenging cycle pivot, no doubt about it. It's interesting. I've been over the past day or two sort of kicking this idea around in my head. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. And the cool part about it is we only now have data where we can go back and actually look at how did the humans act a century ago. So we're actually extremely fortunate in that regard. And I do see a lot of similarities between the way the humans acted through that Spanish flu pandemic and the type of price action we're seeing in the market right now. Call me crazy, I don't know. You won't be the first person, that's for sure. Obviously history doesn't repeat itself completely, but it often rhymes. Can you blame the pandemic for the very natural, normal 10-year cycle reset, if you will? And then also this big honkin' generational reset that has to happen. I think probably that will become the historical scapegoat when we look back. I do find, conspiracy theories aside, I do find it convenient that the social angst, number one, with the pandemic, of course, Jesus, I see shit all over the place. Here in Vancouver, some guy had a party, 30, 40 people were at the party, and he got hit with a $2,600 fine. Bang! And that's the way they get you in Canada, right? In Canada, they'll never, they do, I beg your pardon. But generally speaking, they won't beat you up, right? The police, generally speaking, here they're pretty good. There are some bad apples like everywhere, but generally they're pretty good. The way they kill you in Canada is, of course, is entirely, completely big brothered. And they you spend $1 at the grocery store, they know exactly the dollar that you spent, right? So anyway, the point in Canada, the way they kill you is they'll just fine you into the ground. And that guy, I'm sure he's not going to have another party again for quite a while. But how convenient through this very challenging social economic transition time. We're now going to basically be kept apart, right? I do find it interesting, as sort of social anecdote aside, that a huge part of this social unrest, which should be directed towards, in my opinion, the 1% that has pretty much raped this society. I mean, you think about it, there was a guy in the 2008 financial asset crisis, one guy who said that he cleared $1 trillion in profits. I mean, is that not the definition of rape? Sure sounds like it to me. I mean, it's borderline embarrassing. That's really where society's angst should be. But unfortunately, and I make no mistake about it. I mean, racial concerns aside, there's always racial issues. But if anything, I'm just, conspiracy theory trader kind of guy. I mean, really, that is one problem. But ironically enough, if you solved actually the bigger problem, like if you took that $1 trillion and you had invested in all the social support programs that we should have as society, would that not have actually probably prevented a lot of social unrest and stuff? I think so. But, those are the kind of questions that never get asked, right? Because they're just too big picture. And, of course, as soon as, I got like, 50 of you watching me here. And we have some great people that really learn from the tools that I've learned over the years to be pretty good traders. But those are the kind of big questions that should be asked that will never get asked. And we will spend our time, worrying about other things. But anyway, so be it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that other things aren't, stress-worthy unto themselves. What I really would like for our community and everybody watching this video series, especially, hopefully, hope these videos, because they're free, right? Hopefully they survive the test of time. What the real message out of these videos should be that you don't have to be shackled by the system. I always think it's a good idea for everybody to make sure you got your nut covered. I mean, if you're coming to this and you got like, hey, I got a wife, I got a couple kids, got Granny, shacked up with us too. Well, you got a fucking nut. Don't get me wrong. And life that's life. I mean, fuck, trust me. I've had nuts. And I had nuts taken away from me by the good Lord too. So, consider this, like old man Beamish kind of life experience kind of shit. I mean, the point here is take care of your nut, and it's got to be taken care of. It's just they got to pump gas, fine, pump gas. Got to flip burgers, fine, flip burgers. I don't give a shit, but you got to have your nut covered. But then use the information that this kind of feed can give you to liberate yourself. Maybe it takes like 2 or 3 years. I'm going to put myself on a 5-year plan. In fact, actually, a lot of businesses and stuff. When I used to go talk to banks about business loans and stuff, they'd always say, what's your 5-year plan? What is life going to look like for you in 5 years? And if, ironically enough, if you actually take that kind of approach, you'd be surprised. You show up every fucking day for 5 years straight. You're going to catch an economic cycle. Remember, there was a nice little altcoin rally 2012, 2013 that made people a lot of money. And including, Bitcoiners through that window. And it's interesting because there was a video that I was passing around the site recently that that I can't remember what it was, but maybe somebody can share it who watching this later on in the comments, where there was a interview. I think it was with Mike Novogratz, if I'm not mistaken, where he said, no, I'm not. I can't remember if it was him or not. Just don't quote me on that. But this gentleman said that you thought that the 2017 crypto rally was big. That was nothing in comparison to what happened the previous cycle. And I remember that. It was a really weird period, right? There was, where guys were just getting into the mining space, and the mining rig plays, man, they just went absolutely insane. So there's plenty of money to be made here over the next few years. Absolutely. And I mean, this is how I feel about this. I had, and you guys think I just do this on YouTube videos? On the site this morning, I had a fucking long-ass rant, and I will read it too, because this is exactly how I feel. So I said, so we were kind of talking about the previous cycle, and I said, venture capital is fast and vicious. I mean, it is. If you're going to get involved in crypto, it is fast and vicious. It's just, it's the most speculative part of the speculation market, especially these altcoins, up and down like a horse drawers, right? You even watch this shit perp. I mean, through this rally, what an absolutely exceptional move. Maybe let's have this as your backdrop to listen to this rant. Rallies are usually about 5% of price action. So what ends up happening is public is lulled to sleep and kind of forgets stuff. And then boom, out of nowhere comes a double, triple, or whatever. The smart capitalist, the guy who makes money from trading, he doesn't fall asleep. Same old, same old. Anyway, hope that helps. Let's see. Then I made a funny reference to myself and they went on, oh, no, you're not a clown, blah, blah, blah. But then I went on here. I said, simple message, as always, is if you're interested in trading cryptocurrencies, which is, in my opinion, is one of the most speculative assets that you can participate in, then that's cool. But you just have to acknowledge that this is an insanely speculative asset space. It is. Get used to it. And, here's a little political rant. Thank you very much, Wes, for giving us this freedom and ability. Because keep in mind, there are some places in the world where you just don't even have this ability to participate. But understand, with that freedom comes the ability for others who may not be very nice to take advantage of you. So that freedom, it's a double-edged sword. So try and approach every idea from a rational perspective. Show me a good fundamental story. Get me excited. Show me value. I'm getting in where the insiders get in. And it's interesting. I even remember that last cycle. There was one coin where they publicly said that insiders were doing a huge financing at something like $11 the coin. Thing came out into market. It was like $300-$400. Bang, just like that. This is a cheeky comment, but this is just basically what I wrote in Lounge. Do you think that the smart money was coming in and buying Bitcoin at like 15,000 plus? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. What I want you guys to learn on this free video feed, and I think I used this one talking to you guys, but when you see assets look like this, you have to have the patience and discipline to say, I can't chase. I'm just not allowed to. And what's fascinating about this is just total eyeball, but you can see the reload zones. As soon as we get down into this area, you can start thinking about, all right, do I start seeing W's? And hell, even just put yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan once we hit this level. Totally fine by me. So, what I said here, a little shill for our education. If you think that institutions paid more than 15,000, we'll say, for Bitcoin here, then I've got an education program to show you. We have to understand what value is, and especially when it comes to Bitcoin, if you really want to buy value and go, okay, I'm in at a pretty good place, just figure out what the cost of production of this thing is. it actually works really, really well. And every few years, the market comes back to those levels. I don't think it's coming back there today, but I would definitely keep that level in mind for future serious investments. So I just said here, once you find value, then apply some simple TA timing techniques to improve your odds of success. Because really, that's what all this comes down to. Is, you want to invest, you want to participate. Now, is there any way we can just add a couple rules into when you're actually going to pull the trigger that are just going to increase the odds of success? Really, that's the bottom line. Things like, can I hunt W's? Notice here, we came down, we went up. There was a cute little W. I mean, I suppose you could have took that, but I'd like to see like a nice wide W. And notice, down, then up, then down, then up, then down, then up. I mean, it just never did W out here. But notice, it basically did the same thing down in here, down and up and down and up. Same sort of thing. It could have just rolled back over. But no, here we actually started to turn up and went through this level. And, you see where it is location-wise. Again, just can we add a couple little things to our plan to help us just, get a little bit better of an edge? That's what TA's all about, right? Anyway, so the point here is that if we can find good fundamental stories, and in something like crypto, if you can find below cost of production, rock on. And Litecoin recently, still, I think it's still below cost of production. People are debating, but I saw it jump up here recently. That'd probably be one I'd really like to watch over the next little while. Corn, getting a little expensive in here, I think, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, back to our story here. Just started reading. So good FA plus good TA equals good rational investment idea. And that's what rational analysis was. In fact, actually, it's funny. It was coined by a guy named John Bollinger, now like 30, 40 years ago. Old man kind of talk, right? Where you have your FA guys over here. And then you have another circle. These are your TA guys over here. And, historically, these guys hate each other. They absolutely hate each other. The fundamentalists think that technical analysis is pointless. The technical analysis, hell, you even heard it from like Julian. He hates doing FA. He's just trade the charts, man. But I fancy myself, Brian is the rational investor, I suppose. I fancy myself, I want to fall somewhere in this area here where I get the fundamentalists all go, oh, yeah, this is a buy. And the technicians all go, oh, yeah, this is a buy. That's where they kind of overlap. And this right here is what they call rational analysis. And that's like I said, John Bollinger coined this term forever ago. And then it was weird. It was sort of like, and this was back before the internet and stuff like that. And the term just never caught on. I loved it. It totally sung to me. And if anything, I was kind of happy that everybody else lost interest in this term. And, there was some guy who registered when the internet first came out, therationalinvestor.com, and he wasn't even doing rational analysis. He was just picking tops and bottoms in the market. So it was, when I saw that that this guy, and he actually, because I was going to use the Rational Investor as a business, this was before the internet, and he actually informed me that he was planning on suing me because he had the copyright to the Rational Investor as a business name, and then he passed away. So, that's a long, long time ago. And I used to call myself the Rational Investor.ca. I'm here in Canada. Fuck you. But anyway, that's forever ago. I don't know if you guys even remember my 1980s website. Probably most of you have never even seen it now. Stuart has lobbied hard enough for me to get rid of it. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just blabbing now. So, point of the matter here is you want to set yourself up for success. Try and do good rational analysis. And like I said, I don't know whether I really believe corn here is good fundamental value here at 11, 12,000. I mean, the problem here with the market is it can remain illogical far longer than anybody can remain solvent, right? And going through this grind, it was crazy. I mean, I don't think Bitcoin is actually in this kind of market state right now. And frankly speaking, if you are a crypto investor, if you like altcoins, you don't want to see this. This is the end of the move. Everybody should have gotten a really good lesson on what the end of the bull market in crypto looks like. It's when Bitcoin goes parabolic. It's really that simple, everybody. Every time Bitcoin goes parabolic, altcoins, you're pretty much done. And then we have to go through the cleanup process, and altcoins lose 99% of their value if they even survive at all. And then we start the whole damn thing all over again. Remember, altcoins, insanely speculative part of this crypto market, which is the most speculative part of an investing, trading kind of world you could participate in. Oh, wonderful. Nobody said this game was easy, but I'll tell you one thing. If you hunt these goddamn W's, it sure makes your life a hell of a lot easier. I mean, even if you say something like, I'm just going to wait for reload zones and W's, and you can see, well, maybe we could have done some nanny nibbling in here, but we never really did. Oh, my goodness, look at that big honking W. And then, if you want to just set yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan, you're just buying all the way through here. And, our CTO Sjord has been basically doing that through here. So hats off to Sjord for just having the patience and discipline to wait for the cleanup and then throw yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan. And who cares? The point here is we like the fundamental story, and we've gotten back into a relatively acceptable buying window. One rule of his that I actually do like is he said, well, once we get above sort of 50% of this range, I gotta cool my jets on the dollar cost averaging just because this isn't really cheap anymore. And frankly speaking, I have to kind of respect that. I do like that kind of thinking. The interesting thing is, as we transition, you can see over the past 2 years, we have been trading in the bottom half of this trading range. My hunch is we're probably now going to spend just about the same corresponding period now trading on the upper half of this trading range. So that should be an interesting, and what's so fascinating about this just kills you. I mean, I'm a big fan of harmonics, and when we started off this dump, we just threw out these kind of crazy studies. Well, if this is a big honking harmonic pattern, our next few years should look like this, or something along those lines. 78.6 is down in that area, or up to 88.6, whatever. But and it's remarkable to watch as this is playing itself out. And frankly speaking, I don't see any reason why this isn't going to happen here. Also heard a lot of talk too. If you think about this in simplest terms, we've spent a lot of time. Notice, if we draw sort of like a horizontal level off of that level, we spent a lot of time in here, all through here, a little bit there to a certain degree, some in here, wicks and tails, blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, all down here, then back in this area. I mean, look at all this time in here. Lots of traffic in here. But notice, if we do actually get back above this level, we have not spent much time at all up in this area. And again, I made reference in it's Hero. And Colin does his show. Maybe Colin, if you want to go in I don't know whether Colin you're here or not, but somebody want to fire in Colin's show that he did into the chat there or something, or on the YouTube page. I like Colin, and I like to promote TRIOGers. I think he does very good research, good analysis. He's learning, just like all of us. Nobody's perfect, but I do like the idea. Ironically enough, this is the kick in the pants. I guess, we had the big run up into the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. I guess, was the election back here? I can't remember. Kind of silly. I get the feeling like they're taking the price of corn up into this peak, into that election event. Very much like that gold was a peak into. I'm looking for a peek into its event. Jupiter, Saturn cross. A whole bunch of planetary stresses coming up here, all sort of focal point. And then Landon, our sort of resident celestial guru du jour. He's been thinking that 2021 is really not going to be that much fun. And in a weird sort of way, I guess guys, if they bid this price up into this event, hopefully you can understand we might spend a year or two working our way back down, just cleaning this shit up, right? And I mean, we're running out of time here. If Mr. Trump was going to make a serious challenge for this presidency. Where do I have it here? He's got to close this gap ASAP, and we're running out of time. He's got about two. Let's call it a little less than 2.5 months. What's that? About 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and Mr. Biden's ticking back up here. So. It's and the rhetoric that I'm hearing, and this is just strictly from a trading perspective, is actually we started to see this peak. Now we should see Mr. Trump get a boost through this week, because then now we just went through the DNC, Democratic National Convention. Usually that's where, if the Democrats challenger, that's usually where they peak. So, and then, of course, the following week, the Republicans come back. I mean, let's see what Mr. Trump's got up his sleeve. If he has a speech that just knocks the cover off the ball, and he can get an uptick here, this is still a horse race. But frankly speaking, the margin is extremely wide. With only about 10 weeks left to go here, Mr. Trump's got a huge uphill hurdle here. And they always say, guys, I mean, let's call a spade here. If Bitcoin price is super, super hot and super strong into the election, does that not make sense that sets up? And if the Democrats sweep this election, you remember the lady who's in charge of the U.S. House Committee on cryptocurrencies, right? She's does anybody remember, anybody in the lounge? What's her name? She's a black lady. She runs the panel, and every time crypto comes on there, she just shits a brick on crypto. What's her name, all you Americans? You should know her name off the top of your head. Colleen? You're a crypto fanatic. How about any of you Americans? Don't know. Uh-oh, Jesus. Cole, you're in Florida. What the heck's her name? How about over there on YouTube? Hey, we got 60 people over there. Hey, we got a downvote. Woohoo! Maxine Waters. Thank you, Kevin Stewart. Awesome. So, if we get an absolute Democratic sweep, I've often told you guys, and I don't know whether Mr. Downvoter even knows this, but if you get a one party controlling the entire government, both sides, how does the market usually behave? Is the market bullish or bearish? Go back and do your research. Hey, there's another downvote. Woohoo, party. Yeah, I know. She might become crypto's worst nightmare. If just for whatever it's worth, go back and do your research. It's fascinating to see, but usually when one single party controls an entire government, it doesn't matter whether it's in the West. I mean, it's quite often why a lot of dictatorships don't do very well. Their capital markets don't do very well. Is they can control policy and they can change the rules super quickly. So, point of the matter there is is markets don't like when there's one party controlling everything. It's very dangerous, and a lot of businesses just say, you know what, until we get to more of a balanced sort of approach where I know what the rules are, I'm just going to cool my jets. Frankly speaking, I think, if this plays out the way I think it's going to play out, we might be in a situation, and, really I think it's entirely dependent on how COVID acts here and how people are feeling into this November event. If it's like crisis stress central, we might find that actually, we might actually, especially in the West in the United States, we might have actually a pseudo, government controlled, you do this, you do that kind of life for the next little while. That could very easily be the case. And of course, the Republicans won't like that at all. And then in 2 years' time, just exactly what Obama did, same thing. That's how they rammed that Obamacare through. Was the only way they could get it through was when the Democrats controlled the whole damn government. And you look at what the stock markets did through that period. They didn't do a hell of a lot. Point being that the backlash, oh my God, what have we done? And you'll find that the U.S. population in the next congressional election will swing the House of Representatives back over into the Republicans' control, and then we get more check and balance, and the market gets happy again. So I could easily see that we could have a couple years of, this could be challenging. And this goes back to this image, because I don't know. I'm thinking, believe it or not, it's interesting when we just go boobity-boo, boobity-boo. This kind of like, we have one gentleman on the site who's a fan of shark setups. And this kind of looks sharky. I think it's an upside-down shark. But nonetheless, I don't, keep in mind, this is on an M2 adjusted basis. Like, the sad part about it for the U.S. public is they should understand this is actually what the stock market really looks like. Unfortunately, they just, they see the headline print without the adjusted price, and the stock market's going to new highs. Well, no, it isn't. But I think the public has been fugazied, and it will probably set a base here and work its way higher, and we start the next cycle. And I got a funny feeling it looks stunningly similar to the way that the market and the economy acted through the Spanish flu crisis 100 years ago. And I started off this video with, I love the fact that we actually even have 100 years of data to be able to work with and be able to study. It's fascinating. So I am kind of thinking, and now keep in mind, this is North America. I'm kind of thinking that, we have sort of our exhaustion peak into the election. Keep in mind, equity prices bid up. I had started off the video saying, there are two reasons why equity and asset prices go up and down. That's earnings. If you're equity, think of cost of production kind of thing for commodities. And then the second thing is cost of money or interest rates. And you can make the argument that you go back and look in history. The Fed has always said we do not want to be part of the political process, so we will keep money policy as easy as possible. What do you think right now? We got kind of easy money policy? I think so. The interesting thing is the easy money policy right now is going to create the pivot in the long-term interest rate market that will set the base for the next 35 years. We're going to have rising interest rates. Why? Because probably, and this is what I think that the bankers want, is we're going to have to come out with some massive fiscal stimulus plan. I don't know, something like, how about we'll call it a Bernie Sanders special $20 trillion economic recovery plan. What do you think? Will that fly? It's going to be something along those lines. In his little speech, and especially, of course, if the Republicans get absolutely railroaded out of the U.S. government here this fall, you could very easily see something like that. Mr. Biden said in his speech, he wants to build bridges, he wants to build roads, he wants to build new schools, blah, 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 New Deal. Maybe it's something that looks like that. And, of course, the irony of it all is that's music to the bankers' ears, because their balance sheets were cleaned up following the 2008 financial crisis, so they can lend lots and lots of money right now. The powers that be have said, look at, we're in crisis mode. Here's lots and lots of government debt, so you can reserve lend against all that. I can see, though, the whole backdrop for the next massive U.S. economic expansion is coming, people. It was weird how through the dot-com boom, I first learned, this back in 2000, I first learned about this sort of equity versus hard asset sort of thinking, like the fear, greed cycles that I often post out. And sort of your preference for hard assets versus soft assets. And it was very hard through that time to actually convince people that, hey, you know what? Maybe the economy's not going to grow that much. Maybe hard assets were actually worth something. Keep in mind, at that time, you could buy an ounce of gold for like $300. Really not that big of a deal. At that time, you couldn't even give gold away, really. And of course, growth was endless. The growth of the internet was going to be endless. And companies that had no earnings, but they were continuing to grow and meet that unending growth demand. They were going to continue going up. It was very hard to get people out of that mindset. So just like we are right now, everybody's thinking end of the world, no growth. Collapse in financial assets, bury your head in the sand, go buy an ounce of gold, that kind of thing. It's going to be a hard slog to actually get people to change their perception. And the irony of it all is that's exactly how bull markets are engineered, is we just slowly, what do they say, climb the wall of worry. Just very much like this looks, and I think that's sort of like if we zoom out on this image, like our real economy right now, actually, I think looks exactly. Oh, I did the wrong one. Darn. Yeah. I wanted this one. Actually, this is kind of cool. Check this out. And I'm just having fun here today. I hope you guys are enjoying this. We should be talking about crypto, though, shouldn't we? Here is the 1929, 1920s, Roaring 20s. And actually, believe it or not, this is what I think's coming down the road. You guys don't realize it, but this is actually what our next 10 years looks like in the stock market. Maybe 15 years or so. And then, unfortunately, there's going to be this on the other side of it. I mean, this is so cliche. You know what this is? This is the building out of the millennial generation. This is your generation. So do we have any millennials in the call here today? Probably by time you're done here, I'm going to be like sort of, okay, I'm officially retired. I don't want to talk to anybody in the public. You probably have me in the public. You probably have me through this. But once this event happens, and actually everybody mark your words. Mark my words, right? I do not actually want to even be involved with the public whatsoever once we're in this phase here. But, next 5, 10, maybe even 15 years, that's what I think's ahead of us. But what did we just go through? That's what's more important. I think this was the dot-com peak here. And we had to go through the very natural unwinding of the baby boomer cycle. So if you kind of think about these cycles, right? So there's the Roaring 20s, the Great Depression, Dirty 30s, all that kind of talk. And then coming out the other side, what happened, right? Coming out the other side, boom. So interesting if you actually look at today's market, and let's see, maybe I'll have to do that like weekly. So you got to be able to see it on the screen to fully appreciate this. All right, so that is basically one fear cycle. And really, it's kind of a hurry up and do nothing. I mean, the irony of it all is that if you had bought equities and all that kind of stuff where you were supposed to at the beginning of this greed cycle, all they did was they just brought equities back down to the original base. Socialism, financial plan, or, dilution of the currency, gold standard crap, blah, blah, blah. We put in a base and then start the next cycle. And then, like I said, this is what I think, just like I showed you here. This is the coming out the other side of that fear cycle. This is what we actually should be thinking the next 5, 10, 15 years. Do you think anybody right now is thinking this? They're already thinking stock prices right now are at pretty lofty levels, aren't they? Right? Oh, down 25,000. 25,000? That's crazy. And yet the irony of it all is that this is actually what we should be looking for the next. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, I mean, you see what's happening with Apple and Google and Amazon. My hunch is those things just continue churning on for the next 5, 10, 15 years. How many times can I say that? Exactly. And the irony of it all is that's exactly what happened through this cycle. They called it the Nifty 50. Where there were just a very few number of names that did exactly this. They just kept grinding higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. So anyway, just to finish this thought off, sorry everybody, but look at this image. And now, this is the Dow on a currency adjusted basis. Because keep in mind here, in these days, do not fuck with your currency. Don't do it. It was like religion. Don't fuck with your currency. Now we live in a world where people have totally forgotten the problems with fucking around with your currency. And look at what this chart looks like. It's quite remarkable. So it turns out that they fucked with the currency. And they got away with it. They're damn lucky. But does this kind of look similar? So there is your .com peak, 2000. Right, roaring 20s peak, 29. And, if we zoom out, that's a pretty damn parabolic move, eh? Something like that. Anyway, there's the base, ironically enough, way back there. You can see it. But if we go something like that, does this kind of look familiar? Right, maybe we'll go something like that. So ironically enough, I actually think that this cycle was actually pretty normal. It's just that they fucked around with the currency, so when you open up the newspaper, right, and you go, what's the Dow Jones Industrial Average doing? What they've basically convinced the public is that, and hell, Mr. Trump was out there recently saying it, singing. I think he was talking about the NASDAQ moving to new highs. But in essence, this is what the public sees. Oh, are you kidding? This is an awesome bull market. Look how rich we're getting. But this is actually the reality. It's kind of interesting. Anyway, I hope that comes across okay on the YouTube page or YouTube feed. That's a hard concept to get across in just 10 seconds. But anyway, so, going back to sort of Spanish flu kind of thinking, I like the idea that we're basing here for this cycle. The issue here, of course, is that quite literally, until we actually can get through these highs up here, very much like I said with Bitcoin, right? Same sort of thing. Are we trading around in the bottom half of the trading range or the top half of the trading range? And you can clearly see, unlike the corn, and I don't know, I'm not convinced the corn's broken out just yet on this perspective. Because if you look at M versus M2, corn is up top, but, I beg your pardon. If you look at it on a diluted basis, it's up top. But if you look at it on a M2 adjusted basis, we're just now coming into these levels. I think I have that chart around here somewhere. I don't know whether I got rid of it or not. Is that over here? That's good. So Brian blab away long enough, and maybe we'll talk this market back into a bull. I thought I had that on here. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, just to finish off that thought, broader sort of growth, fear, greed cycles. I think clearly we got a big old cycle pivot here, somewhere around the year 2000. So if we think, 35 years, that's usually generational cycles. That means our next cycle should be 35 or so, somewhere out in there. You have to do the math with this. It looks like it's somewhere out in this area. So that would be cycle to cycle. And what's fascinating is usually just about halfway through the cycle. This is basically the growth part of the cycle. You can kind of see it developing here, right? If we go 17 and a half years. In fact, actually, they always say March of 82 is when the bond market turned. That was the official bull. But you can kind of see it. See growth, contraction. Believe it or not, I actually think we are in the growth cycle. So I had sort of mentioned this earlier, and I apologize. I'm kind of just blabbing and ranting here today. I hope you guys are enjoying this a little bit. But what I've been suggesting to people here is, ironically enough, pullbacks are buying opportunities, especially in crypto, because I think crypto is a great sector for growth for the next the cool part about it is crypto got started here. So most of its sort of foundation and base was in the fear cycle. And, digital gold, right? And I think a lot of crypto story was bent towards this sort of store of value kind of idea, which is fine. If you want to leave the crypto story at store of value, okay, fine. But if anything, that's not doing crypto justice. There's so many things you can do with the blockchain. I mean, fuck, all of us, our entire lives are going to be on the blockchain, whether you like it or not. Better tell Johnny not to pull that doggy's tail, because there will be a record of it on the blockchain. And if he wants to get a mortgage 20 years from now, the banker's probably going to have some dogs, and his family's not going to look kindly at that. So... And, what's great about blockchain is every day you wake up and there's always this new sort of morphification of, this whole fucking DeFi stuff. I mean, talk about growth. That came out of nowhere. I mean, not really nowhere. This has been in the works for quite some time. And, of course, the crypto community would like to ideally insulate themselves from the banking world. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Some people are going to live in the crypto universe. Some people are going to live in the banking and fiat currency universe. I think, on balance, especially if the Democrats sweep Washington here, which would be a little dangerous. You might see the pendulum swing back violently the other direction for a couple years. You could see sort of a lot of the, I'm even noticing it now. Right? There's a bit of fluffiness coming back into the space. Are you guys feeling it? I'm hearing people like saying, hey, my uncle's telling me, Brian, or maybe their name's Brian too, who knows. But, hey, I'm getting kind of interested in this crypto stuff again. Is that a good sign? Uh-oh. So be forewarned. That's sort of going back to this image of Bitcoin on this image. If anything, I do believe we're going to be enjoying a nice little rally window here. Is this a straight line? No, of course not. I wouldn't even be surprised over the short term if we have to come back and check these highs and maybe even the original consolidation here. Wouldn't, it's interesting because September is usually a kind of time period for crypto anyway, if I'm not mistaken. Coming into fiscal year end, for the US dollar. So we'll probably see a lot of any marginal positions in the market and currency markets and stuff cleaning themselves up into that event. Wouldn't even be surprised if part of the reason why the market was rallying as hard as it was because there were some deals to try and bail out Europe when it got sort of panicked there through March. They're bidding up all these international currencies. I think this is a ploy to try and balance the system out because it did get hit pretty hard there in March, that panic spike up in the US dollar. They've got this window here before the election. Once the election happens, then we're going to have to go, okay, now we got to reassess the whole situation. All the major players are going to have to reposition themselves. Frankly speaking, we don't know who the hell's going to win this damn election. I mean, you just don't know. For whatever it's worth, political rhetoric, I believe that the last election was actually a vote by the American populace against Mrs. Clinton, versus a vote for Donald Trump. So I think Mr. Trump's got a bit of a hurdle here ahead of him. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell, and really, don't anybody count your fucking chickens until that got... And keep in mind, too, if this race is close, I can guarantee you this will be contested, and it might be contested for months, because keep in mind, Mr. Trump's got a hell of a lot on the line here. So, 2020, in a weird sort of way. I mean, enjoy the market while you can. I mean, we're having so much fun over in crypto. I got little poppers, this little Decred. What a beautiful little popper. Enjoy this market. If you can sneak your way in on half decent structural levels, awesome. But don't fall in love with this market. That's for damn sure. Be very, very careful. The interesting thing, like Ethereum, I've sort of said this before. I could not make a more bullish case for someone coming into sort of, if I was an investment advisor and said, you know what, let's sit down, let's look at some assets that I think are going to do well here going into the next 10, 20 years and that have potential. You can't really make a more bullish case than something like Ethereum. But the problem here is you're not really allowed to chase in this game, right? Don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. And, while this range doesn't really look like a hell of a lot, this is actually a lot of money. These lows down here just a while ago were under $100, and these highs here were over $450. That's a pretty darn big range. So this is why it's not really in your best interest to just go and chase and FOMO. You might have to go through quite a bit of pain here if you chased and FOMO'd over the next, say, 6 months, 12 months. But this is by far the most, it's a very eloquent, very simple illustration of what we do at TRI. You have to wait for the bull to unwind itself, reload zones, all that kind of fun stuff. Show me weekly W's. In this case, this is like monthly W's. Once that event starts happening, let's start drawing our reload zones and where can I actually start thinking about being a buyer. Now, in this particular case, this is almost 50% haircut from where we are right now. So, am I in a huge hurry to buy a bunch of crypto and Bitcoins right now? No. If the public does throw the baby out with the bathwater and they can bring prices down, will Brian be on the buy side? You better believe it. And that's about where we stand right now. If anything, great example, and I love doing this, is I like to just sort of put myself on a sort of nibble strategy where I pick a basket of these things and I just start nibbling away. And I just happen to have a matrix. These are all the names that I was nibbling on over the past, year or so. And, just like this here, when they actually start waking up and I can generate risk-free trades by selling half on a double, great. Now I've got this thing risk-free for the rest of my life. Awesome. And that's it. I mean, you should look at this and go, gee whiz, reload zones against the bottom end of the range, and here come those weekly W's, and he's buying reload zone tags. I mean, it's exactly the same shit over and over and over and over again. And I'm telling you, I have no problem whatsoever expecting this son of a bitch to be at new highs here by time this end of this next cycle comes. No qualms whatsoever. I think the people behind this name are solid. I like how they basically survived the cull. We had talked at length in the 2017-2018. I had even said that I actually expected half of the free positions that I had generated through this nutso cycle to go off the board. Turns out about a third of the names on that Trex account, Trex killed. And some of them survived in various different spin-off formats or others. The rest of them, I could very easily see not only new highs, but actually even substantially higher highs. You want to see something really freaky? Believe it or not, if this thing can get its act together, the market's actually telling you where it wants to go in the future. This is killer. And I remember I used to do this with charts like on IOC. I did this, and it carved out a nice little bottom. And we did one of these, and the goddamn thing went right up to the goddamn level through the bull market, and people were just astounded. But ironically enough, this thing's actually telling you it wants to go up into here somewhere down the road. If this is actually a bull. Now, you don't know if it's a bull or not, but I'll tell you, if it is a bull, I got a free position here established over the past year, and that's the kind of thing that's going to make us, last cycle, I don't want to sound broken record, but you guys all see this. I pin it right up the top. Took 500, turned it into hundreds of thousands, whatever. It doesn't really matter what the actual number is. The point here is very small number into a pretty big number. No reason now, just even the shit left on Trex is worth over 50 G's. So this is the challenge I've actually given to all the site people. Can we do the same mathematical ratio from 500 into 100K? Now we have 50 G's. Who can tell me what that number is? I don't know what it is. But we'll just keep doing the same damn thing over and over and over and over. And I'm trying to convey to you guys that I think we're actually getting ready. I wouldn't be surprised if we're near the end of sort of these seasonal windows. I can see this is getting a little bit risky here. Like I said, September's is usually, it's a bit dangerous of a month for crypto. In fact, I think, I did right here. This is kind of cool. Back 2015-16, the previous cycle. I think I talked about this with you guys before. The halvening event was here. We had the pre-halvening pump, then ABCD bump kind of thing. I was curious as to see what the price action would look like through this particular cycle's halvening. We never did get the ABCD. We got the AB, and then we sort of stalled. But, and this is sort of what we've done here, right? So we kind of did the pre-halvening pump, then the dump. Then we kind of rallied back up and we sort of stalled. Now it's kind of like, okay, A, B, C, D, I'll totally buy here. And she's like, man, sorry, Brian, we're going up. And then we're going to go down. And then we're just going to park ourselves sideways. The cool part about it, everybody keep your eyes peeled. Because the cool part about this, man, and this looks so similar, right? I get the feeling, remember we said that 17,000 pump peak? I get the feeling that, believe it or not, we're sort of like somewhere in here. And into that election event, we get that 17,000 kind of pump insane face rip. And it'll be interesting to see how the gold market acts through this. I got a funny feeling that gold price is going to jump up pretty violently. What I'm concerned about, of course, and this is typical, right, is what's the other side of that event look like? And gee whiz, Mountain Man levels, original breakout levels. My hunch is this is kind of like the level I'd love to see for that sort of pullback. Remember I was showing you that Ethereum chart? No, not that one. Darn, where'd it go? Here. This one, right? I don't know where the top is. Maybe they can take Ethereum up to new highs. I don't know. I got a feeling she's done, but that's here nor there. Get a nice violent pullback into Mountain Man levels. Ooh, bye. I love that. But can't really chase. And you know what worries me looking at Ethereum here? Put this tweet out a week or two ago, kind of like, M's in OBV, M's in RSI, huge RSI bear divs. Oh my goodness. M's in Willie. Willie is stupidly overbought. Jesus, this got train wreck written all over it. And it just so happened to come in right at a shark harmonic level. Ugh. These are awful levels. Like, this is the professional traders that, they eat us kids' tears for breakfast. Anyway, what a surprise, eh? Just round straight down, jerks. The message I've been sort of conveying to the site right now is it looks to me like we're caught in moving average sandwiches right now. which is okay. You know, I mean, it's better than face rip down. So like Bitcoin, for example, and this is why I like to use these moving averages. You can see 13 EMA acted as really great support. Then we lost it. And we bumped up against 30 SMA. And usually what I find, this is why I like using these moving averages, 30 SMA acts as pretty good support. And right now, we've got a nice little moving average sandwich going. You can see the railroad tracks up top here. I guess this, I think these were all on divs too, eh? Look at that RSI div. Oh, just train wreck central. So that was a bad sign. You didn't really want to see that. Keep in mind, right? Remember we had Mr. Bollinger got all excited. We had bullish movement here. Look at the bullish divergence that came in here. Let's see. Where was the bull div? Oh, I seem to remember there was a bull div in here somewhere. Anyway, you can see the W in RSI. I mean, just take away from the fact that we got a big W there. There's a little bit of a bull div right there. That's tough to see, though. Right there. Boom-a-boom. Boom-a-boom. I do remember Mr. Bollinger was saying, hey, I'm getting my Bollinger Band squeeze breakout here. So if we look at that, right there, if you like using Bollinger Bands, that is absolute textbook Bollinger Band breakout. They go nice and quiet. I remember Sjord, he was telling our community he watches the relative strength index on the Bollinger Bands, and he was like, get ready, folks. Something's about to happen here. So anyway, big breakout. Woo! Problem is, up top here, this is exactly what you don't want to see if you're a bull, right? So very different action coming out of here bullish. Now we're making new highs, and our momentum indicators are all not. Bad sign. So, we just have a general rule at TRI. This doesn't necessarily mean, oh my God, sell the goddamn thing, it's going straight down. I mean, I suppose sharp traders, if you are a railroad tracks kind of guy, that sets up a pretty good trade. In fact, my old prop firm boss, Michael Patak, and I even tweeted an interview with him, so go check out the Twitter feed, scroll through it, you can find the interview. One of his favorite setups is to hunt for channels in the marketplace, and then when the market breaks above the channel, but then can't hold the channel, and then reverses to short the shit out of it. And he did that trade, and in the interview that I tweeted out, that was his trade. The S&Ps broke above a channel line, came back in and failed, and he rode the whole fucking market straight down for like a huge win on just a single contract. So that might be the type of situation that we have here. So that would be like Mr. Railroad Tracks guy says, fine, I'll hit that railroad tracks, and I'm looking for, I don't know where the hell the bottom of this is. This was just a boobity-boobity-boo. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to shoot for down there. I don't know what kind of profit you would look for. But I do kind of like the idea that was on a divergence move. 13 EMA fail. Real sharp shooters. That trade wouldn't surprise me. That's a difficult trade, though. We often teach new people to trading M's and W's. Keep it really simple. Having said that, so the point that I would just simply say here, and this is kind of what I'm thinking is going on right now, kind of like head and shoulders-y, right? So you got your head up here, you got a shoulder here, you got probably another shoulder here. Then we'll find out down the road whether this thing actually breaks and work our way lower. But I'm not really at that stage just yet. And then remember what I was showing you with that 2015-2016 comparison. Where's that chart? And that on here. This one here. Believe it or not, I actually think the end of this move ends like this. That's what I think is actually coming. So if we zoom out to today, putting that over top, that's that same price action, sort of like that. Interestingly enough, September, you notice this is September, it actually was kind of meh. And I got a funny feeling if there's a time for them to actually clean this up, it's through this month of September. So be forewarned. Obviously, the price action didn't obey, exactly the same way. It probably never does. But should it rhyme? Could we have a nice healthy pullback of this level, which might be this action sort of in here and then go sideways, setting the ultimate move up into the fall? That's sort of what I'm thinking here, folks. I don't know. I suppose that's a little bit further away. I guess where's November? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so that sort of corresponds with here. Are we in this right now? I don't know, So, I mean, it's not really the best place for a buy. And like I said, at TRI, we have a simple rule that, you could be bullish here, and that's totally fine. The market will do any old damn thing it wants. But if we have confirmed bearish divergence on things like price momentum indicators, volume momentum indicators, volume impetus, we're best just to cool our jets. And that was the kind of message that I was trying to convey recently. So I put out tweets, kind of saying, these aren't really there was one gentleman who was kind of back and forth. Are you calling tops again? That kind of stuff. And that's not really the message that I wanted to convey with these ideas. And, sort of back and forth chatting with him. I was sort of like, this message to me is, is this really a good place to put new money into the market? Is this a good place to take a risk? Are the odds in your favor? Not really. At the very least, maybe let's just wait for this to W out. And you all got such a great lesson. Bearish divergence. Markets making higher highs, but the indicator is not. Maybe we should just cool our jets. Just wait. And then market slowly cleans itself up, and then, oh, hello, now we're starting to W out. And price is starting to W out. And, like I said, it's not a module that I teach in the program, but I've had a ton of people ask me to get off my ass and get going on it. But things like Bollinger Band, volatility studies, they were screaming breakout here. And look at that beautiful W. Anybody on the site who follows Julian's sort of RSI thinking, it's not the best example, but I think it's a pretty good example of this downtrend line being broken. First W you see on the other side of that, kind of looks like that was through a 50 line too. Beautiful buy signal right in here. Really good looking buy signal. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The one thing that was missing for me was I didn't believe in the volume here. And by the time the volume actually did come in earnest, the price had already broken out. So I didn't really get the best signal from my perspective, but so what? It's just Brian's. There's a million different ways to skin this cat, that's for sure. Anyway, point of the matter here, as it stands, until this all cleans itself up, I just got to cool my jets. I think that makes sense. So your update on that real time, you can see, interestingly enough, the weekend really didn't produce a heck of a lot here. If anything, if I drill down on sort of like hourly, and I saw Colin was making reference to this in his show on Friday, kind of looks to me like, is this really a good place for us to sell Bitcoins? Not really. Technically we're supposed to be hunting reload zones. So interestingly enough, you can see on Stamp of all places, there's a cheeky little price gap. So this gap probably wants to get filled in up there. And there is your reload zone. And my hunch, kind of in the short term, I really kind of like sort of like a head and shoulders kind of thinking. And also, too, this is the end of the summer. It's the last week of the summer. Should we really expect anything really dramatic to happen in this last week of the summer? Not really. Obviously, most adults are going to be preoccupied with COVID and school issues and stuff. Obviously a lot of our seasonal norms have been sort of thrown out of whack here. I think Labor Day weekend actually falls the second week of September as well, so that's a bit of a curveball. I'm not really expecting the sky to fall here. This isn't usually how breaks happen, but market will do any old damn thing it wants. My hunch is something along these lines. That's just a hunch, opinion. You all know, of course, what Brian even thinks of his own opinion. If you were thinking continuation lower, then we want to try and think like bot levels. So that would be like we want to see at least a 33% retracement of this bounce. So we haven't even gotten that yet. But if I was thinking trend continuation, I want to hunt this thing short. Believe it or not, I'd actually like to see something along these kind of lines. And then down. So either way, not really a good level for me to be thinking either buying or selling. And buying, like I said, counter trend rallies up top into gaps, reload zones. Also, too, think horizontal support and resistance. Obviously, that's a super important level there. That also corresponds with that level there. So this would be kind of thing that, maybe if you're a slick trader, it's totally possible, especially weekend kind of trading stuff. I could see guys coming in on the long side, 78.6. Actually, you can see the original double bottom. Those kind of people, they'd probably be best served to be, at the very least, look at that level, eh? Wow, what a level there. And hopefully, you guys are watching this, like brew-hoo-hoo, brew-hoo, ha-ha, brew, ha-ha-ha. I know I saw you earlier say hello. And also, B2, bad these days. I know you guys, you're surfing this free channel and trying to learn as much as you can. Do you see the power of this W, right? And how if you draw a reload zone off of that range, gee whiz, all the market did was come right back down to the original W. And gee whiz, look at that, put in a little bit of a W right at the original W level. I'm a real fan of, like wicks and bodies, candle bodies, great trade location. So I would look at this and I'd go, oh, I love that level right in there. Look at that fill. That's like insane rock star fills. But anyway, so, the range traders, you're probably looking at something like this. And like I did before, buying against the bottom end of the range. But if you lose the bottom end of the range here, you better get the hell out of there, right? No qualms about it. And then they'll be thinking about hitting, like I said, gaps up top, original structure. So they'll be hitting up here. So that's your range trader. Interesting. So that's kind of a cool level, eh? Horizontal support and resistance. So you got a couple levels there. It's these highs in here. There's a gap just above. Hell, we'll go candle wicks and tails. Right, nice little candle body level up there. So if there was going to be a fight, and this is still a trading range, I would think the fight should come in up somewhere up top here. I don't know. Is there anything else I can add to this? I don't know. Hope that helps. I've been blabbing. What is it, 11:50? How long have I been going on here? Probably an hour or two, eh? I don't know. Did you guys get any value out of that? Hope so. Colin says he has triple D's on ETH BTC 4 hour. Man, if there's a... Look at this beautiful breakout here. These altcoins, man, they look sexy as hell. So this is kind of a funny one where I did a nibble here. But this thing has come down so far. I actually did some nibbles. I bought, Marco was here. Come here. I don't know why the hell I bought that. Probably that W there. But these are like nanny nibbles, so I don't even really care. I just throw a couple 0.02 BTC at these things and just accumulate. Bought some more there. Tested a low. I think I came in and bought some more here. Bought some more here. So my total average cost, and this is interesting because it turns out, and it's fascinating how Trex does this because the numbers are always changing. But if this, I could have just blown this out at a double this morning, but my entire average cost with all of my purchases, this is my average cost. So I thought it was kind of amusing that this thing jumped up right into a level where historically I would have been tweeting out, banging out doubles and all that. And I was joking in the lounge, this would have been so perfect. Typical, the social media goes, that fucker Beamish put a top in the market with his stupid banging out doubles. So I didn't even do the trade, and I didn't do a tweet. So you can't blame this market stopping on my level. But what do you think? Maybe were there other market participants that when we got up into this 3,000 area, they were like, ring that goddamn register. Cha-ching. So it's a great analogy that it's not Brian that stops markets. Of course, it never is. But also, too, you can see clearly there were a bunch of people who were selling halves on doubles here, and they stopped the rally. I'm going to hold out on this because crypto is so hot right now. I'm not really in a big hurry. This is on my entire purchase, my average cost on this thing. So everybody cross your fingers for me. Interesting how lots of wicks and tails. I mean, this thing will definitely be trading back up there at some point down the road here. I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. So I'm not really in any hurry here. It's just kind of a fun story. But man, yeah, there are a lot of alts that are really poppy. And I remember, not to toot Brian's horn, but I remember 6-8 months ago, I was like, you can be in love with Bitcoin. That's totally cool. But I think that there is a lot of money to be made in these altcoins. The problem, of course, was the culling, right? And these damn exchanges and the games that they play. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That hasn't changed at all. And, of course, everybody's like, yeah, DeFi, get all this crap. Remember there was a big push towards decentralized exchanges. Has that kind of died? Don't tell me he wants to buy. Somebody says that Barstool guy wants to buy. Oh, no. Oh, God. If he wants to buy, I don't want to be in the market. I want to be selling what he's buying, not buying what he's buying. That's terrible. So Colin says, nope. So is that to that decentralized... that just died, eh? That's too bad. So Colin says, Uniswap, the new king. No, it's alive. It's on fire. Okay, I don't understand. I'm kind of stupid, right? Well, yeah, no. In fact, that guy's going to come in and buy Link up top here. That would make perfect sense, right? I mean, the funny thing about Link is it's so cliche. It's ridiculous. I mean, everybody watching this channel, tell your friends. I mean, how does that guy have like 1 million followers and we only have like fucking 47 people who watch these videos? I don't get it. But tell your friends. This was so freaking cliche, it's ridiculous. And the worst part about it is I walked everybody through the trade, literally day by day by day, every single week. From this point on, we walked everybody through this trade. So it just kills me. Maybe, like Big House. I don't know whether you, because he eats pizza. All right. Maybe you know that guy. Maybe we got to get that guy into TRI school and just, hey, take this goddamn course. Follow the rules. Then go out and own the market and social media and all your funny stuff, right? But geez, it's painful listening to guys like that come into the market at the top. Everybody should look at this chart. Tell me. Let's see if we can do this in unison. Anybody watching this YouTube show? Where can Brian realistically think about even considering starting to buy? And the level is right on your screen. As plain as day. That's only where I can start to think about actually participating again. Thank you, Cole. Look at that. Total crickets. Hey, there you go, Vincent. We got to get this guy. If you know this guy, if you interact with him on social media and shit, we got to get this guy schooled up. Quit making noob mistakes. The way he got totally played on that Mara. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway, this is kind of a fun story. I mean, I can't come in on the buy side. As you can see, we should be sitting on our second, third, I guess our fourth double off of this crazy thing. Oh, first, second, third double, right? And, you got your next orders working. And who knows, maybe it goes higher. But if you were going to, flip a coin, I mean, I could say literally it's a coin toss between whether we make a new high here or we come back down into reload zones. That's not edge. Remember, we're edge players. We got to somehow figure out, is there a way where when we flip this coin that we know at least 66% of the time it's going to land on heads? That's what we need to figure out as traders. And I can tell you, buying right here, there ain't no edge there at all. Oh, well. Big sigh. So, Colin wants us to look at... Are you guys having fun here? Somebody tell me on YouTube. Should I shut the fuck up? Are we done? I'm just blabbing away. I got, 2 hours to kill it before Liam. Does anybody... Give me a... Colin wants me to look at ETHBTC. Where are you trading this damn thing, Colin? Crypto Twitter ate him alive. I bet they did, eh? Yeah. Binance, 4 hour. Goddamn sons of bitches. That's the interesting thing. I have to say, guys, especially you people on YouTube. How do we say this? If you have a relatively thick skin, you are relatively humble, and you can appreciate when somebody clearly sees that you're an idiot and is going to point it out. I have to say, crypto Twitter on balance actually is not bad. Crypto, if you follow the right people, like me, for example, I've got like 12,000 followers, but I only follow like 500 people or something like that, somewhere in that number. So if you follow the right people, I think on balance, like that Crypto Cobain guy, he's going to make fun of you and he's going to tease you and he's going to, these guys are social media gods, so don't try and out social media them. That's a waste of your time. But I think on balance, they're actually pretty smart traders. I think they're pretty wise. So if anything, I'm kind of pleased when Colin said, hey, Colin, did you say that? Who said that? Cole said crypto Twitter kind of had fun with that guy. I have to say, on balance, crypto Twitter, these guys are smart. They're smart. They're dicks, but they're smart. So, take it for whatever it's worth. Okay, so Colin saying he's got a very, very well-defined young lady here. What the hell are you talking about here? What is on Colin's mind this morning? Boom. Oh, shit, I hate when that momentum looks like this. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. Oh, this looks bad. Oh, because you know what happens? Oh, I see this happen all the time. I hate this. But basically, this thing's coiling, eh? Oh, we got there to there. What is this? This is 4 hour, eh? And then you've got there to there. So you can see the battle lines are being drawn here, eh? And now we have there to there and there to there. So my hunch is probably going to get some sort of, like a peak like this and a pullback. Probably going to have to somehow define this range a little bit more. And I'll tell you, when this thing resolves, it's going to be violent. And usually what I found with these MACD coils, that's why I hate when I see this. Usually what happens is you get just an absolute explosive move. And considering how many lows there are here and how well defined this top is here, my hunch is it's absolutely explosive move to the downside. And then it violently ratchets right back up. So that's what I'm sort of thinking here. And, you know, if you look at the Ethereum chart, it makes sense, right? Like if we look at this, I could see, right, this has been a long, slow grind. What there probably has to be is some sort of puke out, and that marks actually some sort of violent turn. Oh, anyway, he shared a chart here. Let's see what's on Colin's mind. Better not be naked ladies. Oh, what the hell is that? Google Meet link redirect? Ay, ay, ay. What a headache. Bam. What a headache. Nah, it never works, eh? What happens if I just copy that? Copy? Oh, isn't that weird? What happens if I do that? Oh, it's going to load it over here. All right. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, and the problem here, Colin, though, is that you can see this ridge right here is major resistance. If it can pop up through here, awesome. But I don't see any volume push here. Do you see the volume push? So if anything, Colin, what I would say is you got to see this level broken. And what you don't want is some sort of big orgy push like this, and then a collapse on the other side. So, but our rule, right, Colin, is we want to see this breakout, confirm all this divergence, and then hunt for the W. And if this is still valid, and then we get a W, rock on. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Which, I mean, it's great. You're optimistic. I gotta feel, I mean, look at this profile. Oh, this looks horrible. Oh, God, I hope they don't puke out here. Your buddy, he wants them to puke out here, right? Isn't he like 100 million X short? I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. Yeah. It's opinion. I mean, if anything, I understand, and this is why I said, go watch Colin's video. I thought that was really cool. They did on Friday. I could see a rally up into these highs, right? Make a nice head and shoulders, especially if Bitcoin does its counter trend rally. We're not even at like 33s to even start drawing bearish bots yet. I mean, I would like to see this market ratchet up here a bit. But where the fuck are the buyers? Where are you guys? This is a volume impetus. This green candle right there is a volume impetus sell signal. So where the fuck are you, all you bulls? This concerns me. You know? So, I don't know. But, I mean, it was kind of funny. Like, the first tweet that I put out when I came back was, not to be a negative Nilly, but, oh, Jesus, this looks bad. And I'm sure everybody's like, oh, great, Beamish is back, party's over. Anyway, so put it all together. Like you had sort of said there, I do like the idea of this making like a head and shoulders here. Problem is, how can you step in on the buy side? Maybe your 4 hours look okay, but do you see this, Colin? This looks really, really bad. That's a tough trade to take, my friend. If anything, I would almost prefer to let this settle down a little bit. Give me something to work with here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the worst part about it is I ain't got a short trade here either. I mean, this is a shitty trade location either way, right? You just got to sit there and do nothing. Ho-hum. All right. So, I don't know. I think we've talked about a lot of different things here today. What else should we talk about with you guys? We do have a new school term coming up this fall. And actually, it was really cool. Our we had a contest last spring, I guess. A nice little raffle. It was a lot of fun. Kevin helped me. Geez, we had a lot of people submit their names for the raffle. And this was our contest winner from last term. I get the impression that she really enjoyed the experience, and she felt like she learned a lot. We do find a lot. This happens a lot at TRI, so don't beat yourself up, Deanna. We had a pretty large class, and this is hard work. It's a profession that we're trying to teach you here, so we do get quite a bit of attrition. People that either I mean, what do you think? Has life been a bit challenging over the past 3 or 4 months? I've had a couple people send me messages, ask, Brian, life's been a bit challenging. Can we postpone exams for the time being? I still want to write the exam. I just, I don't have any time right now. That's fine by me. Remember, we're not here to grind you, everybody, especially anybody who's in the level 1 right now in this kind of situation. We're not here to grind you. We're here to help you. So, just reach out to us. We'll figure out what works best for you. No biggie. But also, too, there are a lot of people that are like, holy fuck, this is actually hard work. Oh, Jesus. Okay, fine. I invested the money and, the resources are there. Maybe I'll come back to it later on. Anyway, Deanna, congratulations. Looks like she did pretty well on the final exam. And remember, we build the exams not to pass or fail people. We just build the exams to see whether you were paying attention. And if you have notes and if you were paying attention, you set yourself up for the final exam, you just walk through it just like she did here. So way to go, Deanna. Big shout out to Grim. I thought he did a fantastic job this past term. We did start the term off a little bit bumpy, so maybe some of these people kind of abandoned the program to begin with. But I think we got our act together second or third week of the program, and I saw it humming along very, very well through most of the term. Squeaky wheel gets a grease, no doubt about it. There's a couple people that were very, very active day in, day out, and I think they got ridiculous value for their money spent. I can think of one person in particular, pass, which is fine. Hey, squeaky wheel gets a grease, right? So what the hell? You will get out of the program exactly what you put into it. You will get exactly how much value out of it that you put into it. And I really like the team, Grim, Kevin, Joshua, the 3 of them together, I thought did an absolute fabulous job with Brian throwing in his 2 cents every now and then. So if you are interested, I think we'll probably try and do another raffle here into Labor Day. That gives us a couple weeks. So I'll make reference again to the raffle next weekend. Maybe we'll do the raffle on... why don't we plan to do the raffle Labor Day weekend, maybe? 2 weeks' time. So I'm not quite sure whether we want to do a form. David Eisner, if you're watching this later on, maybe he's our marketing specialist. Maybe you can add some input into how you would suggest we approach the raffle so everything works best. So keep your eyes peeled. If you want to put a comment, Kevin does such a great job keeping track of all this stuff. If you would like to enter into the raffle for a seat in the upcoming term, maybe put your name down in the comments. Maybe also too, in the comment with your name, I'm also going to require that you also add something that you feel that you've actually learned through these YouTube videos. So then that way people who are watching and reading the comments later on can see actually tangibly that people are actually learning stuff from following along this video too. Okay, so if you want to be in the raffle, you got to put your name in and contact stuff in the comments. But I'm not going to include you in the raffle unless you include something that you've actually learned by watching these videos. Okay? Is it a deal? All right. What does Colleen say? She says she's been active in the ladies' lounge too. Very keen to learn. Excellent. Yeah. She totally kicked butt, eh? And what a beautiful comment from her. And great. I mean, I think I've said I would actually, it would be so awesome if we actually had more women members here than men, and we wouldn't need a ladies' lounge. You'd kick us over to the men's lounge. Wouldn't that be hilarious? And it would be the little boys' room, really. Anyway, I say the ladies aren't commenting. All right, anyway. Okay, I've been blabbing away here for a couple hours, so I sure hope you enjoyed the offering. I hope you got something of value out of what I've been blabbing about here today. So PMA for the win. I suppose we'll see everybody Monday to Friday for daily brief recaps, and we'll see everybody, of course, same. Oh, and maybe hit the like button, thumbs up the video. Subscribe. Also, I think you're supposed to ring the bell, ring Colleen's bell, right? To get notified when we do these videos, and then that way you'll be up to speed. All right, everybody, have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.